So as you got into this study and as you started to write, I'm just kind of curious, as you went through this, you obviously it's almost impossible to read the book of Revelation and then, in the context, especially as it's been popularized in evangelical culture, without coming to some of your own uh, conclusions based on, like, maybe, as you talked about the timing of Revelation, maybe the way it's structured, but also maybe who Babylon is. Now, and did, I mean, what's your thoughts concerning that as you kind of walk through this? Because that's a big one.
Yeah. Revelation reapplies a lot of Old Testament passages, not just general judgment passages, which it does, but also judgment passages specifically for Babylon, the Babylon that was already judged. But this
why is Babylon why?
Because Babylon destroyed Jerusalem and enslaved God's people. So you read in the book of Daniel about 4 kingdoms, including Babylon. Well, by the 1st century, the view of the 4th kingdom was normally that it was Rome.
Mm-hmm.
And so Rome also ended up destroying the temple, destroying Jerusalem, and enslaving God's people.
Mm-hmm.
And even before that happened, Rome was already seen as this 4th beast because they were already oppressing God's people. It was an empire controlling God's people, an evil empire. So they saw Rome as the successor of Babylon. And in Jewish literature, sometimes Rome was called Babylon. And of course, in Revelation 17, the first part I'm going to start with, verse 9, I believe it is, it says that this is the city that is on 7 mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And Rome was regularly, you just read randomly through ancient Roman literature, called the city that was founded on 7 hills.
Yeah.
They had an annual celebration, the Septimontium, commemorating their founding on the 7 mountains. Also, the city that rules over the kings of the earth. Well, that would be news to Parthia or China or India, but or Africa, like the Nubian kingdom of Meroe. But it was, in terms of where the 7 churches in Asia Minor were, they would think of Rome. Also, you look at the imports in chapter 18, verses 12 and 13. The imports that are brought into Babylon there are the imports that we know were being brought into Rome in that period. Mm-hmm. It's a mercantile empire, Revelation chapter 18. Well, the only empire in antiquity that fits that, comes anywhere close, would be Rome. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of features that fit Rome. But when you look in chapter 13 for what it says about this, they had wounded to death and so forth, many of the descriptions in verses 1 through 7 go back to Daniel chapter 7. It talks about these 4 beasts, mm-hmm. and then after these 4 beasts comes the one like a son of man. It's not a beast. It's God's kingdom comes in Jesus. But Revelation doesn't just speak of the 4th beast. It doesn't just speak of the beast in the description of the 4th beast from Daniel. It coalesces all those images together. Mm-hmm. So even though Babylon was Rome was the Babylon of John's day, it doesn't mean that the spirit of Babylon died with Rome. This is the spirit of evil empire, and it can be expressed in different ways in different times. And so I believe that that spirit of evil empire is still with us. But still, it's significant what it meant for the Babylon of John's day, because here was the mightiest empire that this part of the world had ever known. It seemed poised to crush the tiny church of God. And yet, in chapter 18, John hears a funeral dirge. Fallen's Babylon the Great. So here's this exiled prophet on the island of Patmos, banished by the Roman Empire, who has the audacity to report the coming downfall of the Roman Empire. Within a few hundred years, Rome fell.
Yeah.
And all the empires of the past now lie in the dust. But the Church of Jesus Christ is alive and well.